Alex Karaban should go pro right now. You're on the Hoops Cap. All right, guys, let's hit it. Alex Karaban should absolutely declare for the 2025 NBA draft. No matter his draft stock, none of that has changed much dramatically one way or the other. So I want to take the perspective of this is what I feel is best for him. Now, if tomorrow he decides, whether it's in the morning or in the afternoon, he posts it on Instagram, puts it on Store Central, whatever, however the mechanism that he is going to declare for the draft or say he's back, it's happening tomorrow morning. I'm recording Sunday night at 7:40 in the evening. So when this comes out in the morning, I don't think he'll have put this out by 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, but you never know. It could already be old news. But I wanted to put my spin on this because I think, and I haven't always felt like this, but the more this has gone on, the more that this has been a very difficult decision for Alex. And I am not criticizing him. I am literally having a conversation with the audience and saying that my thought process is no matter what he does, he should go pro. No matter what the critics say, no matter how many times people tell him that he isn't good enough, anything that comes with it, he should go because it maximizes his pro life now. Now, he could obviously do the way of Armando Bacot, who knew he wasn't going to be a big-time NBA player. Shout out Armando Bacot, who works with our very own Ryan Gresh, a sponsor of the Feel Good Lab. We'll get to them in a second. But I know they're potentially working together. So that's not a shot at Armando. Armando knew that staying at Carolina was the best decision for him. And a lot of guys have done that. They know that it's a good business decision. But I feel like with Alex, it's a little different. He's already accomplished so much more than really anybody has in the modern world of college basketball. He's not as accomplished as the Christian Laettners or the Bobby Hurleys. Even if you go way back to the Lou Alcindor days, or even, another back-to-back champion in Florida, I can't think of the guy's name. I almost said Yannick Noah because of tennis. His son, I can't think of his first name, but the guy who was at Florida, who, Noah, who played for Chicago, and really that Corey Brewer, that entire kind of Florida roster was a behemoth, and they won back-to-back titles. What Alex has done in college is akin to those guys, but in an era where everybody leaves constantly. So there's not a lot of turnover. There's a ton of turnover. In those days, you kind of stuck around. Even guys who went to the draft, they went early. There wasn't a transfer portal. NIL wasn't a thing. So this is Alex Karaban's, legacy, is that he was successful even in this era where people say you can't be successful. How could that be possible? Right. And so Dan Hurley and his staff pride themselves on having these guys stick around in spite of all of this stuff. So if he has any inkling of he's not willing to be, 10 toes down and really kind of go after a potential third title in 4 years, I think he should go, because I don't think people really factor in how intense a year under Dan Hurley is. And this would be a fourth year for Alex Karaban. Dan has said this about himself, about how he doesn't think that he's built for someone to stay with him for 4 or 5 years, like in the NBA, when we talked about the Lakers job last year. And he talked about that, I think, on 60 Minutes and some other places, that this is and on the E60 where we had Jeremy Schaap on, essentially saying that he's built for the portal in that way, because if a guy comes in and spends a year like Stephon Castle did, or a couple years like Tristan Newton, or a year like Cam Spencer, Naheem Aleem, others, it's okay. That's a sprint. Like, you spend a year with him, that's cool. You spend a couple years, all right. But I don't know if Alex wants to stay for another year. And I know that he loves Dan, and I know that that's not a shot at Dan. That's just the reality of how hard it is to play for him. And really the case for Karaban to go pro within the draft itself, regardless of any of what I just said, is the 2025 draft is projected to be pretty thin, especially for wings like him. He's 6'8". He has shooting ability. He has a basketball IQ that people are going to gravitate towards. They're going to call Dan Hurley and say, tell me about what he does in this action, because he runs a very complex offensive system that Alex essentially ran on the floor. So he's got that skill set NBA teams want. Mock drafts place him in the second round. Tankathon has him at 46. ESPN has him at 34. But who knows? A strong pre-draft process could push him towards the late first, early second. I don't think the first. I think the first is a pipe dream, but it's possible. If he turns heads at the combine in 2025, maybe hitting threes, holding his own in scrimmages, showing he compete with the pros. Maybe we're all wrong on this, and maybe someone snags him, in the Kyle Filipowski first or second pick of the second round, similar to how he fell. But he's not getting any younger. He is absolutely ready for an NBA role. If you think that the Alex Karaban that you saw last year in a primary or a 1A role is who Alex is going to be in the pros, you really don't know basketball, and I'm sorry that you don't. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. I'm literally saying that Alex Karaban, everybody that goes to the pros isn't a star. You don't have to be LeBron James. You don't have to be Anthony Edwards. You don't have to be even a Stephon Castle. Sometimes it's a surprise. I don't think San Antonio thought that they were going to get the Rookie of the Year. I think they thought they were getting a really great piece to add to Victor Wembanyama. But that's not who Alex Karaban's going to be. He's going to be a Cole Hauser, a potential Joe Ingles that is going to have a nice career in the NBA because he can stretch the floor, and he's a pretty big body. He's physical. He can get offensive rebounds. And let's face it, it's the NBA, guys, and it's the NBA in the modern era. I know you're watching playoff basketball right now, and some of these guys are really going hard and going at it. But you really think that Alex Karaban, it doesn't have a roster spot? If you're watching NBA basketball on a consistent basis and you don't think Alex Karaban can make a team and be a consistent contributor to a playoff team or a team that is looking for, just put him on the Wizards. As terrible and shitty as the Wizards are, having a guy like him who has the type of character that would put in the work every day because he's getting paid like a professional, that automatically elevates your team. So say what you want. You can laugh at that all you want. All the people who are like, you don't know ball, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. Alex Karaban is a pro. If you don't like it, kick rocks. He should leave now, maximize his earning potential over the years. NIL money isn't chump change, but one more year versus now you're starting to stack cash in the pros. I think even if he gets a two-way contract or a G League, it starts his pro clock, setting up bigger paydays in the future. Bet on yourself, because down the line, I think Karaban is absolutely in that same the Cole Hauser model. And I want to say if I'm even saying who it is right, because to me, I might be saying the guy who plays Rip on Yellowstone. But to me, Hauser is I think it's Sam Hauser. I think Cole Hauser is Rip from Yellowstone, and Sam Hauser is the guy who played at Marquette and then eventually went to the pros, who's also 6'8", 220 pounds, very similar to Alex. Pure stroke, I think he's a better shooter, but Alex can absolutely, if you put Alex Karaban on the Celtics right now, he's a guy who can stretch the floor for them. Come on, let's be honest about that. All right, we're going to take a quick break and come back and say if I am correct, because I tweeted something out that was wrong this morning. The expectation was Alex was going to retain eligibility, but I think over the course of the weekend and probably even some of today, which is Sunday, he wasn't good with that. He wanted to make a final decision. So we're going to know everything we need to know about Alex Karaban once this happens. And my opinion, not a fact, my opinion, I want to be very clear on that, is that Alex Karaban should go pro now. Move on. If I'm wrong on that, I'll be happy. Come on back, Alex, and spend another year talking to Jared Kotler on Connecticut Scoreboard Podcast and trying to help Dan Hurley win a third title in 4 years. Help these guys understand what it's like to be a Husky. Show them the way. But if you leave, it's okay. All right, we'll be back.
Big East Energy. Ryan Gresh here with the Feel Good Lab. And the same tools that we use to help elite athletes like Hassan Diarra, Nika Mule, and our very own Cam Spencer are the same things that we use to help people like you and I. People that want to optimize their overall health, feel a little bit younger, or are suffering from a chronic condition. And it's all about reducing inflammation, improving the nutrients in our body, and fixing our gut. And the way that we do that is not through a one-size-fits-all model. Everything is personalized. We offer products that are plant-based, natural, and help you identify the root cause. And oftentimes, we're looking at what's going into our body. So we have a food inflammation test, a gut microbiome test, so that we can treat you like an individual human that you are. And so the thing that we're the most excited about is actually connecting with you. Whether you're a UConn fan or not, please reach out, call us. We'd love to talk with you and see how we can help. Best in health.
Bang, Ryan Gresh from Deep. Yeah, go check out the Feel Good Lab. If you guys are interested in any of that, use the promo code Big East Energy for 15% off at checkout. I'm going to let that scroll through here. That's at thefeelgoodlab.com/Big East Energy. I think actually it's just thefeelgoodlab.com. And then if you get something, whether it's the inflammation test, whether it's just creams for arthritis, for plantar fasciitis, whatever else you need to get, use that promo code Big East Energy for 15% off at checkout. All right, so why now and what's UConn's plan B, right? If I'm correct and Alex Karaban decides to go pro, I think they're hitting the transfer portal to find some type of suitable replacement. But what I do know, and this is something that was sent to me, is that, look, they're doing everything. They're scouting European players, prepping for really any outcome. You know, in the portal, they've added Malachi Smith. They've asked Silas Demary Jr. From Georgia to bolster the guards. They lost Darius Adams to a decommit. I heard he actually had a really good conversation at Georgetown. We're going to see if he ends up going there. I think he's visiting Maryland after that. Liam McNeely's gone. We've already got confirmations of people coming back of Jalen Stewart, Jaden Ross, Terrace Reed Jr. UConn's portal moves have been good and really kind of set them up. I think if the crazy thing is if you put Silas and Malachi in UConn's roster last year, I think they beat Florida. I think they're in the Final Four. I don't know if they win at all, but that team is as talented as anybody in the country, because when you slide Alex Karaban to like a third or fourth option, all of a sudden your team is immensely better because he does so much behind the scenes. But if the focus is on him offensively, it kind of negates some of the things that he did with the 22-23 and 23-24 teams. Then there's this kind of idea of Euro scouting. Sources close to me said that UConn's hiring some European prospects. I don't have any names. I'm going to spend most of this week scouring European leagues, trying to find some Dan Hurley type players that we're seeing. And we wouldn't be the only team. I think Illinois got like 4 guys right now that they brought in from Europe. I know St. John's brought in a kid from Serbia, right? So we're going to talk about him or later this week on the Big East Energy Weekly show. So there's so much talent around the world. And if there's ever a team to kind of foster that talent, it's a guy like Luke Murray and Dan Hurley who have basically brought in a Euro style offense with actions and read and react with these DHOs and really kind of these different sets in action. I mean, one of the things that Jacob Furphy brought into the equation or brought up in his interview with us is basically me saying, what are you most excited for? And he was just like, I mean, the actions that can create multiple possibilities. So I think that's the plan B, is you bring in European players that can spread the floor, pair them with returners like Terrace Reed Jr., solo ball, especially if Karaban is leaving and you lose that shooting. So I think you're going to try to find a 6'8", 6'9" transfer. I know Baba Miller is a guy that everyone's kind of thinking about, because I brought that up too. He definitely is a player that I think they should reach out to. And here's the thing: if they miss out on players that are in the portal now, there are some guys who are going to kind of remain eligible, who are in the portal, who don't get great feedback in the scouting combine, that they're not a first round pick, that they're out of eligibility, or they're not out of eligibility, and they want to remove themselves. And that's March 28th or May 28th, I believe, is the deadline for that. So just because the transfer portal is closed doesn't mean that it is completely shut off. Like the talent is still in there. And some of these guys are going to really go to the combine and see what they can do. And we're going to go from there. So there's no deals imminent, no portal guys to talk about. The main focus right now is let's see what happens with Alex Karaban today. If he stays or if he goes, then we're going to talk about who these European guys are looking at are, maybe what leagues they're in, Spain, Serbia, Turkey. We'll figure it out. They've already got someone coming in from Australia, so we'll see what happens. Is that maybe Alex Karaban's going? Maybe he's coming back. I think he should go. Want him to stay? That's life. We'll read and react based off of that. Next episode, we'll talk about whatever is in the news. It'll probably be about Alex, about what the whys and the whats, and check out Big East Energy Network wherever you find your podcast. Make sure you're following the Hoops Cap on Apple, Spotify, everything. This is my show. The network is owned by me, and it's co-founded by myself and Casey Matthews out there in Omaha. Go check out Roll J's podcast if you're interested in kind of UConn adjacent. Everything that Creighton is doing affects UConn. So as we start to add shows, make sure you're subscribing to their shows too individually on Spotify, Apple, other places. Make sure you go check out their shows when they debut on YouTube, because their success is my success, is your success, because then you have a dedicated Big East network that is bringing you content on a daily, semi-daily, mostly weekly in the off season. I'm going to be as consistent as possible. We are trying to build something here that you guys can be proud of, that you can come to for all of the latest news. Hell, if you're a Creighton fan, they've had Coach Hassan. They've had every single recruit that they've brought in. They have incredible access, a hell of a lot more access than I do with UConn. We'll see if we can try to change that this year. But anyway, go check them out, and make sure you check out Feel Good Lab. We got some new sponsors coming in here in about a week. Yeah. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope you keep following Hoops Cap.